Okay, so continuing on with my ranking extravaganza, we have in 174th place the Meg 2, or Meg 2 The Trench. Good shark movie. I quite enjoyed it myself. Um, and then the unrated version of A Million Ways to Die in the West. Have not watched the theatrical cut yet, but the unrated version was quite funny and had a cameo from Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd from the Back to the Future series. He was actually trying to hide the DeLorean in his little cameo there. And then we up next in 172nd place we have Monster Hunter, which is a really good story there about a monster hunter, obviously. Definitely an action movie, not really a horror movie, just straight up action. Yeah. In 171st, this one is, however, a horror movie, and that is Monster Party from the producer of Sinister, which I have Sinister 1. I want to try and get the second one before watching the first one so I can watch them back to back. But yeah, Monster Party was pretty good. And then up next we have um, Monster, which I'm gonna have to rewatch because I don't really remember a whole lot about this one, honestly. So there you go. And I'm going to switch the order of these next two and say that in 169th place instead of 168th is Madam Web because I liked the Marvels more than this, although this did have some creative, fun ideas that should have been executed better. And in 178th place, then, would be The Marvels, which I have the Steelbook of. So I'll be showing the full design of this Steelbook here. Here's the back, the front, and the interior there. So many cute kittens. Um, and then it has kind of a slip cover type situation going on here. Then I couldn't find the case I have for the Darkman trilogy. It should be with the rest of my Marvel movies, but for some reason I couldn't figure out where it was. But all three movies are ranked in 167th place. And then in 166th place is the Daredevil director's cut. I have not watched Elektra, the director cut, well, I mean, I have seen League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but I watched that one years and years ago. So, the only one we're talking about here is Daredevil's director cut. I saw the theatrical cut many years ago, but not the director's cut. And the director's cut is actually really good. It adds more of the story back into it that you miss in the theatrical version that made it seem so choppy. And yeah. And then up next, being ranked as the entire series all at once, is Teen Titans, the original series. And the reason this one is much lower on the list than a bunch of the other DC properties we're going to talk about is solely because the series finale is a giant cliffhanger. And it's like, huh? It feels like there should be a sixth season, but there isn't. There's only 5. So, is the cliffhanger picked up again in Teen Titans Go? I doubt it, because that one's for a much younger demographic than this one is. But it could be, I suppose. I'll find out when I find that entire series. Right now, I just have half of the second season. But for now, very frustrated with the ending. Great show, frustrating ending. In 164th place is Kiss of the Damned. This is a vampire movie. a vampire love story, basically. Kind of just another one of those vampire movies, really. Um, and then in 163rd place, we have The Last Voyage of the Demeter. And I do have the case for that here. I'm going to clear some of these first. I'm trying to clear my list as I go so I don't end up messing it up again by clearing too much. So, Last Voyage of the Demeter. This one is a Dracula movie. That vampire creature that you see right here is, in fact, Dracula. And in this, he actually looks like a monster instead of just a guy in very pale makeup, which I think is what you would want in a Dracula movie. And it is a really good Dracula movie in and of itself. Up next in 162nd place, I don't have the case for it up here. Unfortunately, that's a trend that's continuing in my ranking extravaganza. I thought I grabbed all the cases, but apparently I've missed a lot of them. But in 162nd place is High Voltage, which is a movie about a girl that gets struck by lightning and then has personality shifts every so often, and she has lightning bolt looking tattoos that somehow appear. And but they're not really tattoos, that it's her veins like sticking out in lightning patterns, which is pretty cool. And then next up, we're going to be talking about Hotel Transylvania 4 Transformania. And if that ends up being the last of the Hotel Transylvania movies, it goes out in it with on a good note, and it has a satisfying ending to the now quadrilogy. And yeah, just real solid Hotel Transylvania movie. In 160th place is Ma, and this one is kind of a horror movie, sort of. It Not very many people actually die in it, but it definitely has a creepy tone to it, kind of a creepy stalker vibe with the star there. And yeah, good movie though, good movie. And then up next is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in 159th place. I think it's funny that they went from the MCU's first F-bomb to a lot of F-bombs in Deadpool and Wolverine, which is set in the MCU, although it's not in the main 616 universe for the duration of the movie there. But I like Deadpool and Wolverine obviously better than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, although I do quite enjoy Guardians Volume 3. Next up is Logan Noir, aka the Black and White Cut. The story plays out the exact same way, it's just they took away the color and made it black and white, which I think adds to the aesthetic of the movie and credits it quite a bit. It it's still just as good a movie in color as it is in black and white, but the black and white adds to the effect of the movie and makes it that much more appealing. So yeah. Clear up some more titles here. And next up is A Haunted House. If you like the Paranormal Activity movies, this is a very similar movie to those, only with a prominently black cast, which I'm all for it. That's actually really cool. I like what they were able to do with this one, and yeah, I think there's a second one that I really want to try and get, given how much I enjoyed the original there. In 156th place is The Grudge 3. you might be thinking, well, where's Grudge 1 and 2 or the remake? I watched those ones in 2023 and this one in 2024, so that's why they are not being mentioned in this video, because I watched them last year and not this year. I believe this was the first one to get the R rating. Of course, the remake is also rated R. So yeah. And then in 155th place is the original Grown Ups movie. In 154th place is Grown Ups 2. This one made me laugh a lot more than the first one did, so that's why I put it above the original. In 153rd place is Good Boys, and the boys are actually a pain in the neck. They're not actually good, good boys. So yeah, but good story nonetheless. Another one I don't have the case for up here is Godzilla vs. Kong from the MonsterVerse. And I really like all the MonsterVerse movies. In fact, I think Kong Skull Island is one I watched this year as well. But for some reason, I don't think I factored that into this ranking at all. Oh well. And then in 151st place is the first 3 seasons of Girls. I have not been able to find the third, fourth, and final sixth and final season yet. Or rather, I have been able to find them. I have not been able to buy them yet. I did find at least seasons 5 and 6 on Amazon. I truly have not been able to find season 4 yet, but I have found the other last 2 seasons. But I want to get them in order, so I might be relying on half-price books like I did for this particular one. But yeah, let's see. Moving no, we can just clear the rest of this page off. Next up in 150th place is Girls Trip, and this one also has I think all black cast, but it's a really good story. These 4 girls are all best friends, and they uncover a controversy with one of the girls' husbands, who has been having fun with prostitutes, we'll put it that way. And so chaos ensues. And if you like potty humor, there's a scene where a huge crowd of people get where 2 of the girls are very drunk and have very full bladders and end up on a ziplining type activity. They end up peeing all over a huge crowd of people. So if you like potty humor, I think that would qualify. And then next up is A Girl Named Grace. I also did not bring up the next title in 148th place, but this is 149th place. And this version I think would be more in line with an R rating because they say the F word a few times, more than would be allowed in PG-13. But I think it also has some racial slurs in there. But pretty decent story. The title character, Grace, who I believe is this girl here, doesn't have a very good relationship with her mom, and her friends don't really treat her all that well as well. So she has it hard. In 148th place is Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Coming from a gentleman, I can confirm that because I myself do generally prefer blondes, although I do also like brunettes. But anyway, that we'll talk about that later or not at all. But moving on, we have Fright Night 2, New Blood. in 147th place. And it's a really good sequel. I believe the girl on the cover there is a member of Dracula's family. And I believe the first one here is about Dracula, if I'm not mistaken. Or it could just be random vampires. But I like this one better. This is the 2011 remake version of Fright Night. I do also have the original, but I didn't watch that one this year. I watched it last year, so it's not included in this ranking. And I only kept the DVD because the Blu-ray did not have any audio whatsoever, except for the trailers, which was very irritating. So, moving on. In 145th place is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and in this one, Frankenstein's monster does not have the neck bolts that are iconic for that character, nor does he have like the flat top, like black hair, like flat top black hair, and so it's kind of an oddball to be calling it Frankenstein, especially Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, because when Mary Shelley designed the character, he had bolts in his neck and a flat head with black hair on it, as is present in the Universal Classic Monsters collection. Right there. You can see the bolts on it on the case. Right there, sort of. And the flat top black hair as well. And that is not present here. In this, he just looks like a regular person, aka Robert De Niro. And then in 144th place, yet another movie that I did not bring the case up for because I'm apparently not paying attention to what movies I'm including in this thing. And that is Friends with Benefits, which is what it sounds like. And then up next, we have another shark movie, and that is why is this case the cover so high up? Is Frenzy. Both the DVD and the Blu-ray work just fine in this version. Oh, that's why. So I have because the price tag sticker is right on the rest of the label, so it's gonna bug me. Anyway, Frenzy is another one of those shark attack type movies, but this one I believe would pass as a PG-13. Anyway, good movie. I enjoyed it. And then in 200 or no, not 200, 142nd place, we have Frantic, where Harrison Ford's character's wife disappears and he tries to figure out what the heck happened to her, and she ends up being part of some ransom type thing. I have not watched Presumed Innocent yet, so I can't talk about that one, but Frenzy or Frantic I didn't watch and just did talk about. Up next is 2007's Frankenstein. This one is set in modern day, and Dr. Frankenstein is a woman, which I think is an interesting twist. And in this one, Frankenstein's monster has a bald head, kind of a flatter head as well, but he does have the signature neck bolts. He actually gets his. They actually show them putting in the neck bolts to try and control him, or to control the monster a bit better, which kind of works and kind of doesn't for them. So it doesn't exactly go their way completely. Up next, a movie I was very excited for, and it lived up to my excitement, I feel like, is Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie. This one seems to have gained inspiration from the fourth game, which I guess chronologically is actually the first game, as far as when the games take place, in that the Springtrap animatronic suit is the main villain of the movie, and the one piloting the suit is the guy that played Shaggy Rogers, as well as Stumacher in Scream and Scooby-Doo, respectively. And he even does the same thing with his blade in this that he did as Stumacher, where he wipes the blood off of the blade before he goes after someone else, which I think is kind of his style when he's in a slasher movie, because he's done it at least twice already. So, doing something twice makes it a trend, which means that killing a Fantastic Four member in the MCU is also a trend, which hopefully doesn't remain a trend with the Fantastic Four, the First Steps movie, because if they end up killing one of the Fantastic Four in the Fantastic Four movie, what are they thinking? Don't kill off the Fantastic Four in their title movie, or a member of said group. Up next in 139th is Pixar's Elemental. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was super cute. It had a good story. It's a love story about a very unlikely couple being fire and water. Two elements you would not think would ever get along, but they do. And they work together to repair a dam that would otherwise destroy the Fire Girls portion of town with a flood. Up next is one that I don't have the case up here for again, and that is Escape from Germany. That is a movie put out by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or we used to go by Mormons, but put out by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints about missionaries in Germany during World War II, when the fighting really started to get bad. They were given the order to leave Germany and get, I think, to France or something. And good story. Two more movies that I don't have the cases for up here are Father of the Bride Part 1 and Father of the Bride Part 2. Both Part 1 is in 137th place. I like the direction they were going, but like I said with Last Exorcism in my previous video, it left you wanting to know more of the story, and Father of the Bride Part 2 feels like a satisfying conclusion to the story they began in the first one. And then in 135th place is Final Girl, where the guy with the shorter hair here trains this girl to be an assassin and survive a situation where she would have otherwise been killed by a bunch of not nice boys. And let's see. In 134th place, I also have the case for that one up here. It is, in fact, right here. And that is Fatal Attraction. And in case you couldn't tell from the title, I would bunch this under a horror movie. It says it's more of a thriller, but I think it's more in lines with horror in the slasher subgenre, featuring Michael Douglas and Glenn Close. And yeah, good movie. In 133rd place is Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, right here, where Tom Hanks's character is killed in the Twin Towers on 9/11, and his son tries to figure out how and why, as well as figuring out a mystery that his father left for him. His mom is played by Sandra Bullock, and then this here is his grandfather, who doesn't speak, or rather can't speak, and relies on either writing things out to talk, or he wrote on his hands yes and no. So depending on which hand he shows you is his way of answering yes or no questions. I forget which hand is which, but in any case, up next we have a steelbook of Exorcist 4, The Believer, or just Believer, The Exorcist Believer, right here. Here's the back of the steelbook. Here's that. part, and oops. Is this code still good? I don't know if this code is still good or not. I don't use digital codes. And then here's the inside of the steelbook. I'm going to have to try and throw away this code because I don't know if it's any good or not yet, or still. Anyway, oh, it is still good until January 31st, 2025. However, I don't have anyone that wants the code for it, so I might just throw away the code. I don't use them because I like the hard copies or the discs, you know. In 131st place is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a non-comic book and multiverse story. And I think the most entertaining universe in this one is one where we all have hot dogs for fingers, which is very bizarre, not gonna lie. But really good story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it leaves you wanting to know more. Hopefully they make a sequel, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Part 2, or something of, of that nature. Like a similar story like Glass Onion is to Knives Out would be acceptable as well. In 130th place is Enough, where Jennifer Lopez's character has enough of being treated like garbage from her husband and teaches him what it feels like to be treated like garbage, and he also beats her up a lot, so she in self-defense beats him up as well. In 129th place is Edge of Tomorrow, or Live, Die, Repeat, whatever you want to call it. It's the Tom Cruise time loop movie, and I watched this one with my dad. It's pretty good. Both of us really enjoyed it, and I like time loop type or time travel-y stories. I don't get confused by them. Other people might, but I don't, and I enjoyed this one. It's one of the better time loop stories that I'm aware of. And then in 128th place is Clint Eastwood's The Enforcer, which is the only one of the Dirty Harry movies I've watched. Let me know in the comments section below, is there a particular order to watch these that would make more sense? Like, should I go Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, Enforcer, and then Sudden Impact? Or can I just watch them in a random order? I honestly don't know if there's a right or a wrong way to watch these. I imagine the one called Dirty Harry is probably the first of the Dirty Harry movies, but I don't know. In 127th place, and we're going to 126th, so we have one more title after this that I don't have the case for up here. I have the case, but it's not with me right now. And the one that is in 127th place is Endless Love. And this one is a rom-com, romantic comedy type story. And I quite enjoyed this one personally. I thought it was pretty good. And then in 126th place, in the last title to be talked about in this video, we have Emily, spelled E-M-E-L-I-E. Interesting spelling. It's kind of a horror movie in a way, but I honestly don't. Now that I think about it, I don't know if I actually finished that one or not. But I like the direction it was going. I think I might have fallen asleep partway through, so I'll have to revisit that one. But now I have another crap ton of movies to take back down to my room, and I can condense this down a little bit, and hopefully I'll probably try and make another video tonight, but I might not. I might leave it off here. But yeah, we've talked about a lot of good movies here tonight. We're getting closer to the top and the best of the movies that I've watched this year. One of them, we're only going to be able to talk about the first disc because I have not watched all 10. I've only watched the first 5. And I don't even remember which 5 they were. I want to say they were Triced Affairs, Endless Summer, Deceptions of Love, and Girls Like Us. But I don't remember exactly which ones they were. I just feel like those were the ones that I watched. Because I just watched whatever ones were on the first disc. I honestly don't remember which ones they were, but I enjoyed all of them. But we'll be talking about those in another video, or in the next video, because it's in 118th place for all 5 of those. I feel like I should make sure I know where the rest of these titles are and bring up cases for things if I even have the case. One of them I know for a fact I don't have the case for, and that's Deuce Bigelow's European Gigolo. And not the most appropriate movie. It's about European male hookers. But anyway. And then Collector and Collection, I know those are downstairs, so I need to bring those up. But I also don't think I have the case for Master of Disguise. And my goodness, that movie's hilarious. One of my favorite parts is, this is what you are doing? This is what I want you to be doing. Are you telling me to shut up? Yes. Yes, I am. Basically, that's the gist of the scene. And it happens 2 or 3 times in the movie. I want to say 3 times, but I know it happens at least twice in the movie. And yeah, it's a pretty funny movie. I thoroughly enjoy that. But yeah, so I can combine some of these stacks now. The next video will take us, I think I'll end the next video with 99, or with place 100, and have that next one round us out for the top, or for the ending, to set up the top 100 titles that I watched this year for the first time. Granted, I've watched a lot more movies this year than I've had in this ranking, because I've only included things that I watched for the very first time in 2024, instead of every movie I watched, period, in 2024, whether it was a first time viewing or not. So, yeah, with all that being said, I am going to end this video here, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And look forward to talking movies with me in the comments section. Share your ranking of all these titles, or at least the ones that you've seen. If there are titles here that you've never seen before, you're welcome. I've showed you something new. And I think from this video, the titles that I would recommend the most are Everything Everywhere All at Once and all 3 seasons of Girls, as well as Guardians Volume 3, Logan, Madam Web, The Marvels, and the Daredevil Extended Cut, or Director's Cut, whatever you want to call it. But those are the ones I would most highly recommend, as well as Teen Titans, if you can handle having a cliffhanger ending at the end of Season 5, which really, really annoyed me, but I still thoroughly enjoyed the series. So, yeah. Have a good rest of your night. I probably won't make another video tonight, honestly, because it's getting kind of late, but hopefully you enjoy this video, and um, put in the comment section below if you've seen any of these movies, and if you have, which one was your favorite of the bunch. And if you've seen it, let me know your thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie.